and welcome to another edition of Hollywood Knitter. My name is Allison. You can find me on Ravelry or Instagram as Allison1031. I'm recording from my home in Los Angeles, California on Wednesday, April 8th, 2020, deep in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic. I, like many people, have been spending a lot of time at home. I am actually considered, or my job is considered essential. However, luckily, the jobs that I'm working on, the construction jobs I'm working on for my utility one is almost done and one hasn't really truly started yet. So I can do a lot of my work from home. So I have been working from home about 95% of the time. I do go into the office probably once a week, or has been averaging once a week, mainly when I need to print big documents. And I don't feel too bad about doing that because I go to a construction trailer where there's not that many people and I'm not exposed. But it has definitely been different and challenging. I know I actually consider myself very lucky because working from home is not that hard for me. I don't have little ones running around. I'm not having to become a teacher. I really, really feel for all you parents who are now becoming teachers for their kids, as well as entertainers and everything else. So overall, it hasn't been too bad for me. There's nobody in my immediate circle who I know who is sick. In Los Angeles, the numbers are climbing like they are in most of the United States. And I'm expecting that I'll be working from home at least until mid-May, maybe even a little later, depending on how it goes, before life goes to normal. And obviously life is not normal because right now I should have been in Morocco. Obviously that was canceled for all of the recent trips, and luckily was canceled before, I think of how much worse it could have been that if I were in the middle of a trip and we're stuck somewhere. I see all these stories from people that are stuck in foreign countries and trying to get home, and I just consider myself blessed that it happened early enough, at least in the United States, when all of the travel restrictions were being put into place, that my travels were canceled. So that actually didn't cancel my Morocco trip. It postponed it till October, luckily. And then I did have another trip to Mexico City that was planned in mid-March that was canceled. That may be rescheduled at a later date. It was for a soccer game. I'm not sure. Who knows how everything is going to get back to normal. All I know is it will. This too shall pass. And in the meantime, it could be a lot worse. So I'm very happy for myself. As part of kind of the stay at home, I had an urge. I haven't had a cleaning urge really, or an organization urge, which is fine, but I did have an urge to go through my stash in Ravelry and kind of update it, refresh it, bring out my stash. So I went to Ravelry, and they have a great little function where you can export your stash, because I am very good about keeping all of my stash in Ravelry. And I exported the Excel document and I printed that out, and I went through and I basically did an inventory of all of the yarns I had to make sure everything still matched. And I did find one skein that I hadn't inventoried. I'm not even sure where I got it. It was a Miss Babs skein. But now it's all there. And then I also did some decluttering of the stash. So like many of you, I have partial balls of lots of things from projects. And I basically made a kind of a cutoff for fingering and other yarns that if it were less than 20% of the ball, that I would just call it all used up in Ravelry. And then I created some stash bags of the different weights. So I did a DK weight, I did a sport weight, I have a worsted Aran weight, and then I did a fingering weight, which I sort of already had because that's what all my little balls are that I put in my blanket. But these were a little more than that. These might have been 10 grams, 15 grams. So they're in a separate stash. So when I need smaller amounts of yarn, I can go and just look in those bags, and then it's not staring at me in my Ravelry queue that I have all these little bits and bobs, which it drives me nuts to have them. So now that's out of the Ravelry, it's into a bag. I'll still, if the bag gets too big, I'll definitely come up with a project to use them if I don't keep going. But it brought my stash down by about 20 or so skeins. Also, as a result, I found some random skeins that I basically started to make projects right away. So my kind of knitting coping has been small projects, small, quick projects. I have had a lot of knitting time, but I finished off a few little things in the last 2 weeks. So what else did I want to say? I hope everyone is doing well in their quarantine. I hope you're happy, healthy, sane. I am getting a little stir crazy. I've been choosing not to go out almost at all. I'm not usually prone to anxiety, but I have had a little anxiety around this. I went to the grocery store last week, and that was anxiety ridden. The grocery store I went to was not practicing or restricting the number of people without masks, people not practicing social distancing, and it gave me the heebie-jeebies. Fortunately, I had to get cat food, and I didn't want to go around to a bunch of different stores, and so I was like, all right, let me just do it. And I had a mask, I had gloves, so that was fine, but it was still, I was surprised at how much anxiety I have around it. And even just going outside right now, like I know in LA you can go out for exercise and things like that, but I'm still even restricting that because I see a lot of people when I do like run to work real quick or just outside on my patio and watching just these people go by, and there's a lot of people they're not practicing social distancing. So I want to do my part. I want to make sure that I do my part to flatten the curve. So I have been staying home primarily, which means a lot of cooking, baking. How much baking has everyone been doing? I am out of flour right now. I've done banana bread and pumpkin cookies and bread, and I am now kind of exhausted all of my baking supplies. I'm out of yeast, I'm out of flour. So hopefully the next grocery store trip I can do, I will be able to pick up essentials, but I have not seen them. The last 2 times I've shopped in the time of COVID, and flour was not there at all. Luckily, we had plenty of toilet paper. We needed some paper towels, but the boyfriend went in 4 different stores last week after I said I couldn't get them on that grocery trip, and he found them at Target. Or no, he didn't find them at Target. He found them at an ethnic grocery store that's nearby. So yeah, that's kind of what's been going on. On a happy note, I have a prize winner. On the last podcast, I had a prize for a skein of yarn I picked up at Stitches West, and the winner is Melinda. And the prompt I did was kind of, if you go to those kind of events, you have a favorite, and hers is Wisconsin Sheep and Wool, which is one I've heard wonderful things about from my friends in the Midwest and would love to attend one day. So Melinda, send me a message with your full name and address, and I will get that skein in the mail to you as soon as I can. Let's go into FOs. So the biggest FO I'm wearing, I finished my Spectre by Joji Locatelli, and this is kind of a multi-colored fade kind of sweater, ribbed sweater. I'm going to do my best to stand up and show you a little bit more. My cat is also right here. So yeah. Oh, it's pretty long. It's almost just short of tunic length, but definitely my waist is here, so I went longer. Also, long sleeves, which I love. I love the color gradient. I wasn't too sure. I'm still not 100%. I'm mostly in love with this color to this color. I think it's too big of a contrast, but I do love the orange to this to that. This is Invictus Master of My Feet and Trick or Treat. And then the orange is Brew City Yarn and Felix Leo that I picked up at Zombie Apocalypse in 2017. This is Black Cat Fibers Nomad Sock that I picked up at Stitches West 2018. This is Show Me Your Yarn Boot Heel and Bois d'Arc that I got at Zombie Apocalypse 2017. And then this Invictus was from, I got after Knockers in 2017. So this was all stash yarn. I had a fifth skein that I thought I might or might not use, and I didn't end up using it. I used almost all of this. The most I had left was this one, and I had about 15 grams of it left. I used 100% of the white, 100% of the orange. I had a tiny, like 3 grams left of the Black Cat. And yeah, I did a few modifications. So my gauge was a little off. So I made a size 50 3/4 to get a 48, 47. I have a 44-inch bust and I wanted ease. And my measurements were almost spot on from that. So that was good. The fade sequence is this, which is nicely faded. But at the top, I have a more abrupt kind of transition here, just because I wanted to use all of the white at the top of the yoke and then kind of move in, and if I could. And so kind of that's what I did. So the fade between the white and the orange isn't quite the fade pattern that is in Joji's pattern, but I was able to for all the rest. I made it a little longer. My sleeves, I think I put an extra inch on so that I have longer arms, obviously. Longer arms. Here, my cat wants to say hi. Ooh. Hi, Cloudy. Yeah. Of course. I want to say I started talking and that's when she came, but she can't hear me anymore, so she must be wandering around. I just fed her. The only other thing, so I blocked this, which these are all intentionally superwash nylon yarns. So definitely grew a little bit when I blocked it. In fact, I might, next time I wash it, actually put it in the dryer a little bit to tighten it up. But I had made a modification where, based on the last sweater I did, it was like too high on my neck. I couldn't stand it. So this one from the pictures looked also like it was kind of like high, and I didn't want that. So I actually cut, or didn't do the first 10 stitches of the pattern. So it called for a cast on of, let's just say 120, and then you increase like 10 rows later to like 140 or something. I just skipped to the 140 and went to the pattern from there, which was great and gave me the neckline I wanted. But when I put it on this morning, which is the first time I'm wearing it, it was too wide. Like my cast on, I used my normal stretchy cast on that most people use, and it was like gapey stretchy, because this is all her pattern is just this reverse rib kind of pattern, and I couldn't handle it. Like I was like bra strap showing and things like that. So I came down and I took some of the dark gray that I had left over, and I just basically slip stitched around the edge, and that's why you have kind of this darker line, and that was perfect. So now it is wide, but it doesn't go beyond that, like that much, and it is great. So loving it. I really like Joji's pattern. I like that even though it is all of this kind of reversed stockinette, you can see there's the knit stitch, and this is all purl. You knit it inside out. So you're mostly knitting with the occasional purl as opposed to mostly purling with the occasional knit, which I really appreciated. This did take me a full 2 months to do. I started on February 5th and finished on March 28th. And then I had to go up needle sizes. So I knit most of the body in US 5s with the end ribbing and like top of the neck in US 3s. So that is the Spectre by Joji Locatelli, and I'm really happy with it. Not only do I have a great fingering weight sweater that is loose and long and comfortable, I got 4 skeins out of my stash and was able to knit it from stash. So pleased. It is one of my make 9s. Also makes me really happy. I think that's all I got on Spectre. New sweaters always make you happy. After that, I have my kind of single skein project. So when I went through the stash inventory, I found a random skein of cotton yarn that I must have picked up at a D-stash, probably at one of the Knockers retreats. So I was like, well, what can I do with this one skein of cotton yarn I had? And it was the Knit One Crochet 2 Second Time Cotton, which is a cotton acrylic blend. It's like 75% cotton, 25% acrylic. in the Bermuda colorway. And so I did the ubiquitous, many times done, grandma's favorite dishcloth. And I got two out of the ball. And I thought this would be a good project just because I don't actually have any dishcloths that I've made. And I think these would be good in the kitchen. Trying to reduce my paper towel usage, as in the time of not finding it, I realized that I use a fair amount of paper towels when I should try to be a little more green. So I'm going to try to use these in the kitchen to kind of reduce my paper towel usage. So grandma's favorite dishcloth, super easy. Start at the top, knit to the widest part and then decrease to there. I measured the ball as I went. So when I was roughly 25% done with the ball, that's when I started decreasing so that I had enough to do two. And that gave me, a really good sized dishcloth. So pleased with those. And I got that random skein out of my stash. Woohoo! The other random skein or leftover skein I had was a yarn a friend had given me for a birthday. And it is a Premier, so it is a acrylic. And it is the Premier Yarn Sweet Roll and Silver Swirl. You can pick up at Joann's and things like that. And I had one skein left because I had used, I can't remember what I used. She had given me, I think, 2 skeins. And I used another skein to do something and I can't remember what. But I had one skein and I'm like, I want to figure out something to do to use it with that's a single skein. So I found this crochet pattern. It's called Chevron Scarf by Elise Eng. And I knit this over I started the 31st and finished the 4th. So I knit it over like 4 or 5 days. And it is just a cute little cowl. I basically cast on with the white, knit down, and then when I ended, I did a kind of flat join. So you can see where it's joined, but it's not anything super, super crazy. It looks great. And it is just the right size to either wear like, kind of down like that, or you can do a single and have kind of a warm thing. This will probably be a gift for my sister. As I've mentioned before, she's allergic to wool, and so acrylic projects are something she appreciates and wears, and she does like cowls. I've made her kind of cowls in the past, and she has loved them and lost them and loved them and lost them. So this cute little one will go into the box probably either for Christmas or if I get to see them anytime soon. I'm looking at my hair. I have hat head because I got out of the shower this morning and put on a hat. So that is the chevron scarf. It is the only modification I did is I made it a little more narrow. I think the original pattern calls for like 26 stitches across, and I reduced it to 24 once I saw how wide it was. I thought it was a little too wide for what I wanted within a cowl. Plus I wanted to make sure that I was able to get enough length to be long enough. So I reduced that, which was really easy. Just did it in pattern instead of going, 5, 1, triple 5. I just did 4, triple 4. So super good. And then the last project I finished was another one. So this was actually on my Make 9, but this was a single skein of leftover yarn from a sweater I did. And this is Mad Tosh DK and the Great Gray Owl. And I had in my queue for this year for my Make 9 to do the Ricky hat. So I did. And this was the hat I put on this morning after my shower. It is just a gray hat. A lot of people have done the Ricky hat. The Ricky is a free pattern by Sarah Young. And it is just round and round, alternating, knit and purl. And then some decreases. I went slightly slouchy-ish. You can see I have a little fabric, but I was very much doing with what I had left in the skein. And I think I had a little less than a full skein. And originally when I started it, I wasn't sure if I was going to put this for gifting or for me. And then after it, I decided I just needed a basic gray warm hat that fits my big head and is warm. So easy squeezy, no modifications, no nothing. I really like, the alternating. You got the nice little line in the back where you change, but yeah, super good. Ricky hat. So that was the other kind of random skein I decided to start, but it was on my Make 9, so it wasn't totally random. But I knit this in a day. Like, That's how much knitting time I was doing. Then that's all I have for my FOs. So that's only 4 FOs, but 3 of them have been finished in the last week. Small projects, but still. Socks. I'm still working on my pumpkin socks, though. I'm trying to make them a priority. And this is done with a sock blank from Gail's Art in pumpkin. I was part of her club last year, the year before. And so I'd had this sock blank sitting, and I started this in February. I have finished the first sock. And my yarn is caught on it. So first sock. And thanks to my friend Mary at Stitches West, the admin, she gave me a great tip about buying these little gold markers. You can get a whole bunch of them for a very, very cheap price, like 500 of them, and then using them as counters. And so I've been doing that on my socks, which is a lot easier for me in terms of just eyeballing to make sure I get exact socks. I'm just counting in tens and then leaving them on. And then when I do the next one, I can easily count real quick to see how many rows. And then I will put them on the sock. So this is what it's knitting up as. And I will block these because obviously when you knit from a sock blank, it's a little kinky yarn if you've never seen that. So you're basically are just ripping it as you go, and it naturally has that kink, which totally goes away after your first wash. But I'm loving kind of the gradating kind of colors, and these socks are for me because it was a pumpkin skein, and that's all about me. I'm using my standard toe up kind of sock pattern, and yeah, and then just a little kind of broken rib pattern. So I just made myself turn for the heel yesterday. I'm going to, what are we on, Wednesday? My goal is to finish it, to have them done by the end of the weekend. So I just got to make sure to knit on them a little bit every day. I am lucky. I am getting a bit of knitting time on some like conference calls and things like that. That's how all meetings are happening right now. So I have 2 types of kind of meetings I'm in. One where I need to pay attention, in which case I knit, or one where I'm just sort of listening just for the information, but I'm not really going to be participating. It's just for my information. I might be doing other work on my computer if I don't have to. So that's kind of how I differentiate between. So if it's one I'm paying attention to, I'm knitting. If it's one I'm sort of half listening to just because I'm trying to get some information from the meeting, I will actually be doing other things on my computer while I'm listening. So those were my socks. The other project I cast on, which again was from Single Skeins Looking at Me, is one that I had bought a few months ago when I went on my acrylic kind of Joann's kick, and it was Caron Simply Soft in this kind of speckled colorway that I had picked up with the intention of making something for my niece. I don't think this is going to be for my niece, but I have the starts of a baby vertebrae little sweater, and this was done in this is 2 days work. This is going to go so fast and worsted. And the pattern for baby vertebrae is Kelly Van Nierk. If you haven't seen it, she has baby vertebrae, kid vertebrae, adult vertebrae. I've made an adult vertebrae for myself, and then she has a free baby vertebrae pattern for like newborns, and then you can do a paid pattern where it goes up to, I don't know, bigger multi-age kids, but she also does it in like a fingering, a sport, and a worse weight where she does all the numbers. So I went ahead and bought that, and just loving it. I think what I'm going to do, because it calls for you to knit down, it's like a baby shrug, and then I think for the button, for the band around it, I'm going to use like a gray. So, and one of my girlfriends is pregnant with her second child. She's going to be having a little girl, and they're going to be having a virtual baby shower in May. So I think I'm going to knit this up for her. I think I have some baby hats I already have, and we'll see. So I'm expecting that this will be done in a few days. It will be done soon. And I have it in my very cute home row bag that I love. So many bags that I love. One of the good things that I did is I have some extra, obviously not extra, I have lots of project bags. So I use some of those project bags to put my sock scraps in, or yarn scraps. So I basically, and I should have brought it, but I took one of the bags and I took some washi tape and I put DK and I put all my DK yarns in there. And I took another one and I put all of my sport weight and I put a little washi tape and I put sport weight. So I wouldn't forget what weight's in there. And then I also have another use for my bags, and then I have them upstairs on a shelf if I need them and can easily access them. The only other thing that I've worked on since I last saw you, let me grab it, is my linen stitch blanket. Bringing it out for its monthly show. It is 61 inches long now. 61! I'm so getting close. So, I gotta show from the side. Where's my markers? Over here, probably. Yeah. If you wanted a flash of so I have been marking markers since the beginning of the year. So this was January, and so I've knit 10 inches since January. And that leaves me at 61 inches with 11 inches planned to go. I plan to go to 72 inches. I think when I get close, I'm basically gonna get on the couch and use it and make sure it's the length I want. I think I might want a little bit longer if I kind of want to snuggle under it. Where, I mean, I'm tall, I'm 5'8" or 68 inches. So sorry, text message. I have to pause it and answer that text message. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Apparently the boyfriend is going to the grocery store and was asking me what I wanted. And so I had to let him know of a few necessities. Hopefully he can find flour. Anyways, so yes, I'm tall, 68 inches. I'm going to stretch out on the couch and make sure it is the length that is cozy. I was doing that as I was knitting it, and that's why it felt a little short. I'm not sure if just another 11 inches is going to get me to where I want. I might have to do like 15 to 20. We'll see, but as of right now, what I've accomplished, I am on track to finish it in June or July, which is when I wanted to finish it so that I could start my next one, and I do love it. It is the most colorful, beautiful awesomeness, and it's just my fringe at the end, so it's very cozy, and I love it. So this is my linen stitch blanket. It's 500 stitches, linen stitch, sock scraps, little balls, going back and forth, one row each color, knotting it at the end, trimming. Been knitting on it since 2016, January 1st, 2016. So a long time. That's all I have in WIPs. So I have been trying to think of what my next project is, and Andrea Mowry just had a sale yesterday in her patterns, so I picked up the Birds of a Feather pattern, which is in my queue, and I have the yarns for that. So I think I might start that next as my bigger project. I have some beautiful Suburban Stitcher yarn that I'm going to use. And other than that, I just kind of want to play it by ear, finish some socks, might still do some small projects. We'll see. I have to go do Ravelry diving. I have big projects planned out, but as I said, like these kind of smaller projects, we'll see if they keep kind of jumping in. I haven't set aside any more random skeins, so I don't have any other small projects planned besides these ones. So after I kind of do these palette cleansing ones, then I think I am going to continue with my queue, which is larger projects to get out of my stash. So what have I been doing in my quarantine? Watching a lot of television. A lot of TV. Of course, I haven't talked to you in like a month, so that's a fair amount of time anyways. But stuff I've been watching is the British Bake Off. I am, I think, through the 4th or 5th season that they have on Netflix, and that is like my background palette cleanser. My mind is overstimulated. I can't think of anything what I watch. It is just, it makes me want to bake, but not as much as they do. Like, I'm not made to be a baker with a capital B, but I like watching it. I also finally got around to watching The Dark Crystal on Netflix. It was very good. Took me a little bit to get into it, but after the first episode, I was hooked and was really excited. I was a Dark Crystal fan back when I was a little kid, so it was wonderful to revisit that kind of world. The Jim Henson puppets are wonderful. We also watched, the boyfriend and I, the second season of Sex Education, which is hilarious. Really well done. It has Gillian Anderson and Asia Butterfield, and it's a teenager in the UK, and his mom is a sex therapist, and he takes up being kind of like a de facto sex, not therapist, like advice person to everyone at high school, and it's very well done. So if you're looking for a show, I highly recommend Sex Education. There's 2 seasons on Netflix. We also watched Picard. Oh, how wonderful is Picard? We actually bought CBS online specifically to watch Picard, but I don't know if it's still going on, but they had given CBS in this time was letting everyone watch Picard. And if you were a Star Trek fan at all, I highly recommend watching it. Not only do you get to visit this great character, it is a very different way of storytelling than the previous Star Trek. It is not a episode of the week kind of thing. The whole season is one long continuous story and journey with Jean-Luc Picard and his new kind of motley crew that he assembles to do that. And it was also really great to see, this character. Star Trek Next Generation was 30 years ago. It was a long time ago. And for him to come back and revisit this character and to really acknowledge that he is aged, that he is older, that he made mistakes in his life, that he has things that he didn't do right. And it was a really great show to watch. I watched the latest season of Handmaid's Tale. Also really great to watch, but very hard to watch. But I'm still into it, and I appreciate the strong female characters, given that it is in a world that basically is demeaning to women. It's a show that is all about strong women who basically do extraordinary things in a place where it's very hard to do such things. And then we just started watching the latest season of Kim's Convenience Store on Netflix, which I love that show. It is I think it's very true to how we feel a lot of our families. Like, your parents are saying like the non-PC things, and you're like, you can't say that. And they're not doing or saying things from a place of negativity or harm. It's just that they aren't adapting as quickly to the world coming around them as maybe people who younger people are. And so they honestly like, well, why can't I say that? What is wrong? It's like, it's very, very funny. It makes me laugh the whole time. Movies, Disney Plus, Frozen 2. Loved it. I actually watched the first one to kind of prepare myself because it's been a long time since I'd seen Frozen. And I watched that with a boyfriend, and he is not made for Disney films. He questions way too much. He's like, why are they doing that? Why would they do that? They would never do that. It was just like, you just accept the happiness. But Frozen 2 was good. And then as a palate cleanser on that, I watched all of the Herbie movies. Herbie it's about an anthropomorphic car. From the first movie was from 1969, and I remember watching it as a kid. And I went on one of these nights when I was just feeling a little overwhelmed. I started watching the Herbie movies, and it was just the perfect movie to knit to and kind of bring a smile to my face. Books, I'm still just listening to the latest Wheel of Time book, trying to work through it. I love the books, but it's just, I listen to audiobooks more either when I clean or when I exercise. And since I'm not really exercising right now and I'm not cleaning a lot, I'm not listening to a lot of books. Other than that, I've just been, like I said, baking, knitting, watching TV, and working. Hanging out with the cat who's right here. Travel obviously is very uncertain in the next few months, but I'm hoping Zombie and Apocalypse will go on. Still confirmed for that. We're still crossing our fingers that can happen. And same thing with San Diego Comic-Con. One silver lining about missing my Morocco trip was, it's not a silver lining, but I I didn't miss Knockers. It didn't happen, which I was really sad about missing Knockers. It sounds really weird to say, I'm not happy it didn't happen, but I'm happy I didn't miss it, if that makes sense. So I'll be able to go to Knockers next year and I won't have missed one. But I'm really sad for everyone who didn't get to go. And then my Morocco trip, as I said, he postponed it to the end of October. So now I'm going to be, hopefully, crossing my fingers, I'm going October 24th through the first week of November, which is my birthday. So still planning on going to Morocco with my brother. Now it will just be a birthday trip, which will be good. Crossing fingers that everything is all kind of semi back to a normality by then. So that's all I got for you guys today. I hope everyone is doing well. I hope everyone is reaching out if you need help, asking for it if you need help. There is a lot of good in the world I'm seeing on apps, on things like that, people offering to help. There's a lot of people who care. There's a lot of people who are not taking some of the warnings to heart and are doing what I consider not safe things. But in their defense, we have been constantly changing the direction, and just every day it changes. And that's one reason why I'm erring on the side of caution, because I think that they just don't know enough about this disease to fully advise everyone. How can you when you just didn't have a population to learn about it? You need to have testing and cases and scientists look at it. And since it emerged in December, January, we just haven't had time to do it. So I appreciate that new knowledge is coming out as we speak, as we go, and that people are doing their best. So I'm erring on the side of caution and just staying home for the most part. But I know it's not forever. When I get out of this, I am going to do a trip to see my family. I am sad I can't see them. They are very lucky in that they are all together, because my mom, my brother, and my sister, my niece and nephew all live together. My nieces. I have 2 nieces now. So they're all kind of at home together. My mom has started sewing some masks, so she's going to sew me some handmade masks. I actually have masks from work too, but if I do go out, I'd rather have a stylish mask than my N95 mask, which I have from before this happened for work. Yeah, that's all I got. I hope everyone's making through this. We'll all get through this. As much as it's very almost cliche now, because you see it on everything, is we are in this together. And not just here in the US, the world. We're all in this together. And when can we say that that has been the case, where we've had something that's united a world, that we're all united against a common enemy? And that has brought about a lot of great things. So that's a wrap from Hollywood, where fantasy meets fiber, dreams are knit. Bye, everybody.